Hi guys, my name is Danielle Toth. I'm going to be talking to you today about a resource that will help you embed technology into your classroom. Some of you may be familiar with this from previous credential courses, but I'm going to be talking about webquest. I think webquest is a super great resource. It's applicable to all ages and all subject matters, which makes it really inclusive. It also gets the students using this technology that we are trying to embed within our classrooms. So you start by going to webquest.org, and this is going to kind of be like the homepage. You've got a couple different options. You can find webquests. You can create webquests. I believe you do have to pay a fee if you're going to be creating the webquests of your own. But there's a ton of webquests out there that teachers have already created for you, and on all sorts of different topics. Another thing is if you pay the fine, I think that you can take the webquest of another teacher and edit it to make it your own or personalize it. So basically, this is going to be your home page of webquests. If you're not familiar with webquests, it tells you right here a little bit about webquests. And webquest is an inquiry-oriented lesson format in which most or all the information that learners work with comes from the web. So we're using the technology, we're using the internet. So you start by going to webquest.org, and I always just use ones that teachers have already come up with as far as for webquests. So you click here on Find Webquests, and you then go to Search the Quest Garden database. Click here. It's going to take you to this page where you can kind of search a topic. You can search a subject by using all of these different kind of subcategories they have set up for you here. Usually what I like to do if I do have a lesson in mind, let's say I'm teaching language arts and I want to talk about poetry. That's very broad, so you're going to get a ton of pages, a ton of different levels. Over here it tells you the reading grade level and the grade level. So there's a ton of different ones. But what I like to do is I usually like to go a little more specific. So I'll go back to this Quest Garden search. And it's really nice because you can use a grade level matrix here. You can even select your subject, and then you go to your grades. So any level from K to 12 to even adult, which I'm assuming is more of a college level, can use webquests. They do just take a little time to get used to, and you need to kind of prep your students and let them know how to use them and break it down for them. So I'm going to show social studies, because that's what I am hoping to become a teacher, and 9 through 12, because that would be my ideal grade. So once again, social studies as well is very broad, and I'm going to get a ton of resources. I have 247 pages of resources, which is way too many. And if I just sat here and went through them, I'd be here all day long. But as you can kind of search here, there's just all these different types of names, and it gives you a little description. It's important, too, to keep the word count in mind, because if you have one that has a ton of wording, it's going to be for a longer unit. I've even had where webquests can take up to a week. They could be as short as a day, so they're super flexible, super adaptable. You just kind of can take what you want. Here we have an 18,023 on the Holocaust, so that's going to be a long one. Also, you can see when they were last published to make sure that they're kind of still current and they're not really old. Luckily for history doesn't change, so it doesn't really matter how old they are. But I'm sure that the ones that are the most recent kind of have just a more updated kind of feel to them. So when you're looking at the webquests, you can go through the pages here. You find one that you like. So say I wanted to explore this Holocaust one. It's just an introduction. Click on it here. This is kind of just going to give you a little bit about who made it. webquest page is typically always going to have this little task pane over here where we have the introduction, the task, the process, evaluation, conclusion, and credits. So the introduction usually tells you a little bit about what the webquest is. You click here on the task, and there's usually something that we're asking our students to do in this pane. And not only just the task, now it's the process. So it's actually going to give you usually resources here and kind of break down that process for what we're asking our students to do. Under the process tab, usually there's some type of evaluation, or a lot of times there's rubrics right here. And then you click to conclusion, and basically this is like what we wanted you to get out of the webquest, what maybe did you get out of the webquest. Sometimes they offer a little form for feedback, or how do you think you did, what did you learn, type of thing. And then you have here the credits. So usually that's where they're going to give the credit to, all the different things that they've used here. Now what's really important about webquest is this is going to be our student page that it'll always pull up for you, but you have this awesome opportunity to click on teacher page. Now when you click on teacher page, you're going to get a ton of good stuff as a teacher. You have the introduction. When we're clicking on learners, this typically is a space where you can kind of put who your webquest is directed towards. Usually they'll throw in some standards. This one isn't the best example. They didn't do that. But also for process, a lot of times they will kind of give you specific instructions as a teacher, what you need to be including here, and kind of instructions for your students that you may need to make sure that you're telling them. And then resources. Usually it'll tell you exactly what you're going to need for that webquest. So I've done this before on a lesson plan, and I chose to do one on the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I loved this webquest. It was awesome. It worked out really well with my students. They were super engaged. Basically, what this webquest is asking them to do is develop an argument on whether the bombs were dropped on purpose or not. And this was a debate one, so they had to write a paper, which is also really good, but it just gives them tons of information to write these papers and come up with whether they think the bombs were dropped on purpose or not. And this big debate that's gone on in history. So we have primary sources, which are golden for history teachers. And then we also kind of have the overview of the debate, kind of a non-biased source type. But when I did this with my students, it was awesome. It worked out so good. The teacher page here is kind of a better example, but they threw in the standards for me there, which was great in making a lesson plan. The resources, they didn't really need any resources. It was mainly just the webquest, and they kind of put that link. But I just think this whole student page and teacher page is just awesome because it gives us what we need and it gives our students what they need as well. So just a quick overview. I think webquests are super awesome, and I think that they give us a venue to engage our students, get them using those tablets or Chromebooks. You could have them work individually. They could work alone. There's just so many you can get sucked into just sitting here and having search through all the different types of webquests that there are, and you're not going to find a ton that are the same. There are, with anything, a few that are just